Hey gang, Coach D, trainerride.com. Part 3 of the Enduro Bites New Year's series here. And I like to be simple for the most part in my explanations of how things work. I'm more of a biomechanics guy, and I'm less of a tech geek out on VO2 max numbers and AT numbers and things like that. Super important, and yes, I use them for my riders for sure. But I care more about how their bodies are actually functioning, because there is a life after cycling, for example, particularly if you race. There's a life after mountain biking if you race, and moto if you race. And for the most part, a majority of the cycling community rides to have fun, right? And so knowing that, I tend to tailor my messages towards that group, okay? So if you're extremely geeky, that's great. Do it and keep doing it. You might look at this and go, my system's bad. Great, I love it. But how well does your body move? That would be my question. All right, does it feel good? That would be my other question. You have pain, dysfunction, etc. That's my world, okay? So when I talk about how can we arrange kind of, video 2, we talked about what is the gym periodization. A cardio, would I just keep it simple term, cardio periodization could look something like this, right? Where my assumption always with riders, particularly because most of my experience with my Enduro MDB training brand deals with mountain bikers and gravity athletes, I assume that most people who are riding mountain bikes have a pretty darn good base to begin with. And so with that assumption, and even without that assumption as it relates to either beginners on bikes or intermediates on bikes, there's still a time where you have to work through your base, okay? It's important, right, to put in some low-level intensity, really boring cardio work to make sure that you get your nice foundation of from a base perspective, so that you can throw on, right? This would be the base, for example. The more we go up in intensity, and we go into things like intervals, etc., right? And that plays itself off where, maybe in January and February, you're working on your base, and you might do maybe an interval session, a real interval session, once every 10 days, right? Something along those lines. February, March, we get more specific where you're still working on base. We increase the numbers, and we're working into the higher end of your heart rate and power numbers as it relates to your base. And then we're for sure getting into interval workouts. So we're maybe doing 1, perhaps 2, depending on where you're at level-wise in that time period. March, April, we're starting to work outside. Maybe you can work out outside all year long, which is great. But we up here where we get snow, March, April, we start to get outside, and we can work on the longer rides, for example. We can work on starting to increase our intensity because we need to. And then we're also really going into interval work as well. Now remember too, for me, all through this, kind of interwoven into it is the gym work going on. So I can accomplish interval stuff in the gym that is comparable or harder than a bike interval. So I have to include that in the overall scheduling from a rest perspective and things like that. So yeah, and then we go April, May, we're in season prep for sure. And these are all malleable, of course, depending on what kind of season, what kind of riding you're doing, that kind of thing. And then June, October, we're typically in season, and we're already riding what we're doing, we're enjoying ourselves. And really here, there's less specificity as it relates to the cardio aspect of things. And we just add specificity as it relates to the gym because we're in maintenance mode, all right? So, January, October, volume's high, intensity low, and we just kind of, everybody's different, of course, so this would look different depending on what kind of riding athlete you are and your overall experience. All these curves would be different based off of each individual, but generally, we're looking at higher volume and less intensity in January, and as we go further into the season, it starts to switch, okay? So that's all that means on this. So hopefully that just shines a little bit of light on something that you can do if you are creating your own program. as far as just ideas, simple ideas. And we're just putting it out there to help you kind of create a plan, get a mindset about 2022, and hopefully just prepare yourself for 2022 to be an even better riding year than 2021. So that would be my wish for you. And like usual, stock up on these, not on all-purpose cleaning spray, please, but rather recovery protein. The Beta Red before rides and workouts is excellent. And then the recovery with the water-soluble nano CBD drops, also just a great way to sleep, to increase your body's ability to go into deep REM sleep, and then also just reduce inflammation altogether. I love my Enduro Bites product. And don't forget about the bars, because they're the best. Any questions, make sure you reach out, info@trainyoride.com. I'll be happy to help you however I can. And besides that, God bless you. Have a great 2022, and we'll see you next time.